Section 6.2, classifying the elements. And here's our objectives. Please write these down. Describe the information in a periodic table. Classify elements based on electron configuration and distinguish representative elements and transition metals. So I want you to put those three objectives in your notes. Those should be kind of the first things that go in there. Alright, let's talk about the periodic table. When you look at the periodic table, you're going to see a number of different things. You're going to be able to figure out the atomic number, that's kind of the top thing. You've got the symbol, like Na. You've got the name. You've got the average atomic mass down below. And to the right there in that column, those are the electrons that are in each level. So in the table, you're going to get the symbols and names and all this relevant information that you can use from that periodic table. So here you can see you've got all those elements, and we've got them. We can divide them into groups, and you'll notice that they're color coded on this chart. But our alkali metals, that's that yellow group right there, those are known as alkali metals. Now you will need to be able to identify these particular groups. We've got the alkaline earth metals, that's that second group there, the group 2A, as it's known, starting with beryllium, magnesium, calcium, so on. And then we have the halogens. These are kind of the ones that have special names. So the halogens are the ones on the right, starting with fluorine, chlorine, bromine, iodine. Those would be our main halogens that we're going to talk about. So make sure that you know those names. Those are kind of some particular names. And when we're talking about these elements, they can be sorted into things we call like noble gases, representative elements, transition metals, intertransition metals, and so on. Let's take a look at where those would be. So if we're talking about the noble gases, those are the ones on the far right. So helium, neon, argon, and so on. The noble gases, they're in group 8A, and they have a full S and P sublevel. Now, helium doesn't have any P sublevel because it only has 2 electrons, but all the other ones have full S's and P's. In other words, helium is going to end like 1s2. If we're talking about neon, it's going to end in 2s2, 2p6. So it's always s2, p6. If we're talking about argon, it's going to end in 3s2, 3p6, and so on. They always end in p2 or s2, p6. So that's, the noble gases are always going to be like that. And then we have the representative elements where we're filling those S and P sublevels. And so we could be talking about here that we're filling an S sublevel. Here we're filling another part of the S sublevel. Over here we're starting to fill the P sublevels. So these are all of our representative elements. Those are the group A elements, 1A through 8A, that we have. All of them are filling, or they have filled, the S's and P's. And then in the middle, we've got what we call our group B metals, the transition metals. And we've got 2 types that we talk about. We talk about transition ones, those are the ones in the middle of the chart, and the intertransition. So the transition metals are the ones that we're filling the D sublevel. So those are the transition metals right there. And what we've done, as you go through these, you'll see that if we're saying, let's say we look at number 21, scandium, we just filled the 4s2 level, and then we're starting to fill the 3d level. So scandium would end at 4s2, 3d1, and so those in the middle there, those are all the D. We're filling the D sublevel, and notice that if you count across, there are 10 of those. If you look at the first 2 columns, that's the S. Well, there's 2 electrons that can fit in the S sublevel. If you look at the last part of the representative elements, from group 3A to 8A, there's 6, just like the P sublevel. In the D sublevel, there are 10. So we're filling the D sublevel right here. So any of these in this area, so if we look at iron, we can tell right off the bat that we're going to be filling a D sublevel because it comes from this part of the chart. So it is very easy to look at the periodic table and figure out what you're filling just if you know what these things are. The inner transition ones, those are the ones down below, and if you count those, there's 14 of them going across, just like we have in the F sublevel. So these elements here, we're filling the F sublevel. So here, once again, kind of the same thing that we've talked about. Those first two columns are the S's. So anything that's an alkali metal is going to have an S1 at the very end. 1S1, a 2S1, a 3S1, 4S1, and so on. Anything that's in the blue, that part over there, they're filling the P sublevel. Anything in the D, anything in the green, we're filling the D sublevel. And anything in the orange down below, we're filling the F sublevel. So it is very possible to just look at an element's location on the periodic table and figure out exactly what its electron configuration is based on this particular chart. So if you look at this periodic table is broken down very specifically by how these atoms are filling their sublevels. All right, so there you have it. Make sure that you have the objectives in your notes, because we're probably going to grade that. So make sure those are written in your notes if you haven't done so already. Get them in there now.